Today's edition of Mac Voices is supported by MacVoices Magazine, our free Flipboard magazine that brings you some of the best Mac, iPhone, and iPad productivity tips on the web. High in signal, low in noise, just like Mac Voices, MacVoices Magazine includes information on how you can get more out of your Apple technology. Subscribe at macvoices.com/magazine or search for Mac Voices Magazine on Flipboard. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, as you know, one of my favorite things is to get first-time guests on. I always love it when we get to talk to someone new. That's what we're doing today, although it's not first time for me, but it's first time for you. That means we're getting to talk to Callum O'Hara of iMendMacs in the UK. Callum, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Yeah, well, it's great. Now, you and I have gotten to know each other as part of the British Tech Network Mac show on Fridays, and we've had the usual good time that we always have there. But I wanted to get you on here to talk a little bit about who you are, how you came into the Mac repair space, and kind of go down that direction a little bit. So, what is your background when it comes to joining iMendMacs?
It's a very long and odd story. So I suppose you've got to go back to the sort of very beginning when I was still in school, and I got politely asked to leave because my grades weren't very good. And I went and found an apprenticeship somewhere. And then that kind of led in a very convoluted way to me getting a placement with a Mac repair place. And I've been doing it ever since, and I love it. And I completely came on it by accident when I went to go and do my apprenticeship. It was for a data analyst role, so completely different. The only thing that was similar was it was sort of IT-ish, but fell on it by total accident, and I've been doing it for 5-6 years now. So, and I absolutely love it because it's such a niche, and I love to problem solve stuff, and it really ticks that box for me, definitely.
Were you always one of those people that was interested in computers and electronics, or did you just sort of stumble on that by accident too?
I've always been interested in it. I mean, I studied computer science at school at a lower level. I was always interested in the hardware side of it and how it worked. It's not something I ever got into too much at that level until I started to do it for work. And if I'd have gone back to the beginning, it's not something that I've seen for a career for myself, definitely. But here we go.
I love the fact though that you're one of those that you went out, found an apprenticeship, that the formal education wasn't your thing, but you got out and you found something and you made something of yourself, and you're successful at it and you love it. And man, there are way too many people that stick with the school route, and then they end up in jobs that they absolutely hate, but they feel like they have to do them. So,
yeah, I think something that I've always been told and sort of had drummed into me, if you like, is enjoy what you do every day, because you're going to do it every day. You'll spend 40, 50 years working, so you might as well like it, because if you don't, then you're going to be miserable. So, that's something what parents have always sort of instilled in me from a young age, that go and find something you enjoy doing. And there's going to be moments when you don't. Obviously, that's just life, but enjoy it most of the time, which I definitely do. So,
yeah. So, how about iMendMacs? Tell us about the organization. How long it's been around, and what all services do you provide?
So we've been around for about 2 years now. So I'm sort of one of the founding four. So there's, and I'm going to give away the competition as well. But anyway, the never-ending competition. That's a bit of an in-joke. But four of us sort of started the company together. Mo, who's the owner, Francis, who's also one of the owners, myself and Joe, who obviously you've seen saying certain things in the chat. So, we started that together, and 2 years down the road, it's been a really rocky 2 years, obviously, with everything that's gone on externally, but we've made a success of it, and, we're, going sort of great guns with it, really. So it's going really well for us, and we're still a relatively young company, but we've managed to come through some really hard times and come out the other side of it, really.
So first of all, iMendMacs. So that says that you're a repair shop, but that you're a Mac specialty shop. Do you do anything on the PC side, or is it strictly Macs?
We do the odd thing for certain people. So, for example, obviously you mentioned the British Tech Network right at the beginning. We've got a Samsung tablet in from a listener of that show. So we do other repairs, but we don't target them. If you were to say, hey, I need a Lenovo laptop fixing, we'll certainly have a look at it, and we'll certainly do our best to fix it. But it isn't our specialism, and we don't go out of our way to target it either.
So I'm curious. I mean, what made you four get together and decide to start a Mac repair shop? And that question is kind of for all the obvious reasons. The PC side is definitely bigger. The PC side, okay, so we are a Mac show here. We're biased. It seems like there's a lot more problems over there. So therefore, there would be more money to be made over there. Why did you decide to go to the Mac side?
I think the sort of reasoning was, the way me personally, how I didn't really decide to go to the Mac side, to be honest with you. When I went to go and do my apprenticeship, I basically, someone came, examined us doing a practical task, and they went, "You're good. You can go and start working in a Mac repair shop on Monday." It was literally like that. So, but in terms of the four of us, I think the reason why we chose to go down that route is because it's easier, and lots of people own Apple products. They make up probably the largest percentage share on its own, and there's only 3 laptops that are current. That makes it so much easier, because you can say I'm a PC specialist, but there's no way you could ever be a PC specialist, because they're all different. Because you have a Dell, you have a Lenovo, you have a HP, you have a whatever. With Apple, you can be an Apple specialist, and you can learn 15 model numbers and know pretty much all of them. Whereas you can't do that with PCs. It's just impossible, because there's little variations. There's little, some of them vary store to store with different configurations with RAM and drives and stuff like that. With Apple, broadly what you're getting, which makes it so much simpler to offer a good service to people.
Cal, I would not have thought about it from exactly that angle. That makes perfect sense. But and of course, we all know, you go into a big box store, you swing a cat, and you can hit 10 different brands of PCs. And yeah, I never even thought about from that standpoint. The word specialist really does suddenly take on a bit of a different meaning.
Yeah, I think as well, you have to look at it from a business practicality point of view, because if you say I fix phone screens, which is something that we do as well, if you fix all phone screens, there is no way you're going to be able to have someone rock up with their Samsung, their whatever, and say, I need this fixing, and we'll be able to do it straight away. That's just not possible. But with an iPhone, we can stock 20 different types of screens, which sounds like a lot, but really isn't if you consider the amount of devices that are out in the world. And we can do anyone's phone that walks in there and then, which is the level of service that we want to offer to people. We want to be able to fix it quickly and efficiently for a good price and offer good service. We've had people approach us and say, I've got a Huawei something or other, and we've got to wait 4 days to get the screen. Then the screen isn't right, because you realise there's 6 different sub models, and there's a blue one and a black one, and they look very similar, and all sorts of stuff like that. With Apple, a lot more where you stand, and it just makes things an awful lot easier to sort of manage, really.
So you handle, not just Macs. Obviously, you mentioned iPhones. There's a running gag on BTN that you don't like to deal with anything that has cloth around it, like a HomePod. But at the end of the day, you pretty much will try to repair anything that is Apple oriented.
There is very there are very few Apple products that I won't touch. I mean, the whole thing from the cloth sort of came from the first HomePod, really, where I looked at the guides of how to tear it down and how to take it apart, and you have to physically cut the cloth to get into it. So you can't unscrew the cloth and move it to one side. You have to physically cut it and then sew it back together, which is on many things, but I'm not a good sewer. So that was sort of out of the window, really. But obviously, with the new HomePod Mini, you can take it off and get it out of the way, so it isn't too bad, that one. But yeah, I mean, there are certain things that we don't fix. I mean, the first one that springs to mind was the old Mac Pros, the ones before the trash can, just because we'll do simple things like drive upgrades and drive replacements and things like that. But anything more than that is so difficult because the parts are so rare and so expensive as well. AirPods, just because of how they're made. We are looking into doing the batteries in the older ones, but we're a little bit away from that. But 90% of Apple stuff you bring to us, 95% of Apple stuff will absolutely fix, and hopefully fix it to a good standard as well. So
I know that you have a great reputation with the BTN listeners and also with the BTN panels. In fact, I know there's some folks in the U.S. who, rather than try to go to a local repair shop that may not have as much expertise or not as good a reputation, they'd rather ship their devices across the pond to you to fix and ship back because they know it's going to be done right. Mm-hmm. And I think that says a huge amount about you and about iMendMacs. But for folks that don't know you, or speaking in very general terms, a lot of us would say, I'm just going to go to the Apple store, even if I have to make it a day trip to go to the Apple store because they're going to be able to fix it. My personal experience has been, the Apple store is great. They do a wonderful job, but on-site repairs are really not their thing. They end up being shipped off somewhere. So I would ask you, why should I come to an independent Apple repair shop? And how do I know if I've got someone that really knows what they're doing? Any tips, any tricks?
So I think the first thing I would say when you're going to an independent repairer is read the reviews. And what I would say to that secondary as well, don't be put off by bad reviews. Because what something that I always look at is things do go wrong in certain repairs, and we have a really great system at our place that if something does go wrong, we're very upfront and honest, and we will always say you walk out with a working device, no matter what. But some places aren't like that. But definitely read reviews. If they've got one or two bad ones, the reality is you're always going to get certain people in life that say certain things. But by and large, read the reviews, phone them up, ask them some questions, do a little bit of research. I am more than happy on the phone if you're quizzing me saying, I found this on Google. What do you think? I'm more than happy to answer those questions. If you get on the phone to someone and they're not happy to answer those questions and they would just want to bat you away and say, book it in and we'll deal with you later, I'd be a bit more wary of that. Always find someone that's talkative and really willing to help you, because ultimately that's what we want to do at iMendMacs is help people get their stuff fixed. If they're not willing to do that on the phone, how are they treating your £2,000 laptop?
Wow. Yeah. Good point.
If they're not willing to have a 5-minute conversation with you and put you at ease with some knowledge, how are they gonna? If they're not bothered with you, they're not going to be bothered about a thing, are they? So,
do you guys? Well, I think you referenced it already, but you do upgrades as well. So that if I had, say, the iMac in front of me, I want to upgrade it to an SSD. I can bring that into you, or ship it to you, and of course that's going to be a little expensive, but again, it'll be done right. But you do those kind of things as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's actually something we've noticed a lot of over the last lockdown. Obviously, you have people at home with older Apple tech that might have turned it on the weekends to check some emails and stuff, but didn't really use it that heavily, that are now sort of having to rely on it as a main machine, and they're wanting to speed it up because they didn't realise how sort of slow it was. So we've seen a lot of upgrades going on over the lockdown. So yeah, it is certainly something we do. Obviously, that's sort of getting harder for us to do with how Apple are changing their devices, which is better for the user because, in my opinion, spinning drives, if you're booting off them, are sort of getting to be no good now. So we do RAM, we do SSDs. Those are the main ones, really. Yeah.
Well, I ask only because I know that. And there's some great services out there. They provide you with all the hardware. They provide you with really great instructions. Even they'll send you a toolkit to do it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, cracking open, let's just say an iMac, is not necessarily an easy thing. Cracking open a MacBook Pro is even a bit more tedious. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be doing it one time, and hoping I don't screw things up. You guys are doing it all the time, so you've already screwed a couple up, and you found out where the pain points are, and you know how to do it. And that to me is a good reason. And I wish we had more of those kind of upgrade shops that you felt like you could rely on.
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of places miss tricks with, to be honest with you, because I actually did part of my training over in the States with a couple of places, and they do wonderful repair jobs down to the teeniest, tiniest level on the most complicated things. And I said to them, do you not do SSDs for people or RAM or that sort of thing? No. What would we do that for? And I think, well, there's a market for it, so do it. It's no real different to a repair. If someone brings a failing drive to you, you've got to change it. Why would you not offer it as an upgrade service?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, because that would seem like, again, for you guys, it should be pretty low hanging fruit. It should be really easy, because you know how to do all the tough things. You know how to get the darn things apart and where everything is. I've got to figure it out, try to look at a photograph and try to follow the instructions, and then not mess up the adhesive, or not, pull a cable out that I didn't even know was there. And so it's not that these things are impossible to do. They're just a little touchy. And, I would be happy to pay a few bucks just to have it done right, and know that, then I can come back and it's going to work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's why people use us. We get a lot of people, and this is why we're so happy and confident to share our knowledge with people, because we understand that actually when you go out and spend, if you're buying an iMac, it's at least £1,000 or dollars. If you're looking to upgrade that, you're going to want it done properly, and you're not going to be, or you're going to get very few people risking it and going, oh, I'll give it a go, and if it doesn't work, I'll take it here, there, and everywhere. Because if you crack the screen, even on a 2012 iMac, which is 8 years old now, that's a lot of money still, if you want that fixed. So, that's what we see. A lot of people going, oh, I've thought about it, but actually I want it done right. I want it done properly. And we offer a warranty as well. So if you do have any problems and stuff, we can absolutely be there for you.
So let's have a little fun. I got to believe, with the number of computers and iPhones and everything that you've had your hands in or on, that there have to be some really great repair stories, or some great stories about things people have brought into you to try to fix. What are some of the craziest things that you've seen in any of the categories?
It's hard to pick one.
Are there that many?
Yeah, I some of the stuff I've seen, and some of the bodge jobs. I had someone. This was probably about 3 years ago. So, that would have been 2018. So someone brought in a late 2015 iMac. So, a machine which you could have gone to the Apple store and brought, because it still would have said late 2015 then. Tried to take the screen off to do an SSD upgrade themselves. Came in with gaffer tape on it. I haven't done something right, he said, and put it on the desk. Okay. Clearly. Yeah, and you open it up, and he's put the connector in the wrong way, and the board's burnt itself, and it was just bad day at the office for him, definitely. I think some of the worst ones I've had to deal with is any milk product in a MacBook.
Any milk?
Any milk product. I can cope with water, fizzy drink, anything like that, but any milk product that's been left for more than a day, it's rancid. It's just awful. It's just the smell, and oh dear me.
Well, now how do you address something like that, Cal?
Well, you put a pair of gloves on and throw it in the bin if you can. But no, no. So all you have to do is you put a pair of gloves on, you open it up, and you strip it down, and you see what's what. You see what's salvageable. You know, with most liquid damaged machines, you can tell where the liquid's been, so you can work out quite sort of quickly. Right, the motherboard is broken because that's a fact of life. What's it taken with it? Has it gone in through the keyboard? Because that means the keyboard's 9 times out of 10 broken as well. Has it gone in around the trackpad? That means that's broken. Has it gone in down the vent? That means you could have SSD damage, you could have battery damage, you could have all sorts of things like that. So, you know, a big thing with the MacBook Airs as well, older ones, if you spill it down the vent in the back, so say if you spilt water on a table and it was sat on the table, the water would get in the fan and spray it all around the MacBook. So you'd open this thing up and it would have milk sprayed around everywhere, and it was just, yeah. All you have to do in cases like that, open it, strip it, do a visual assessment, give the customer the worst case and say, look, it might be better than that, but do you want to try and get it fixed, or do you want to buy a new one? You know, but those are the extreme. Most of the times it's, you know, little spills and things like that. You know, I've spilt a tiny drop of water over the left side of it and it's turned off and stuff like that. You know, most of it's fairly innocuous stuff. Yeah, I mean, last year, actually, in the middle of lockdown, we had someone ran over iPhone 8 to us. That was interesting. That had every component pretty much changed, apart from the motherboard, the home button, I think the vibration motor. Everything else got changed. So it was a completely different phone by the time it got back, but it worked and they were happy with it. So, I've heard one of my colleagues at a previous company had sick in a MacBook. They put sick in it and then closed the lid and then handed it in.
Really?
Yeah. You get all sorts of wonderful people out there.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, people are people everywhere, but you know that. I mean, how do you run over an iPhone?
I mean, to be fair, the customer explained it to me. And he went, "I got in the car." He said, "It's quite a low-slung car. It fell out of my pocket backwards, and then I reversed over it," which I can understand. That made a bit of sense to me. But being sick in a MacBook, that's I don't know how you feasibly go and do that, because if you're being sick, you must know and you get out of the way. But clearly they didn't. Oh, I had another one as well. These are all springing in my brain there. Someone decided to use their MacBook Pro 15-inch touch bar, you know, £2,000 machine upwards. Was sat on a park bench. It started raining, and they decided, I'll just keep going. I'll just keep on typing. So, yeah.
I mean, some of those things, I guess, as tech people, we just shake our heads and say, you know, really, I understand how accidents happen, but boy, some of those, just like, how and why would you do that?
I think the Rain MacBook got me. That was the one. I mean, running over the phone, milk, all that stuff. I can. It's not great, but I can see it happening in an accident. You know, you can visualize it. But sitting there in the rain using your MacBook, it's just
that just seems so obvious. How do you make
Okay.
the decision? And I'm thinking of the iPhone 8. I mean, obviously, you give the customer the opportunity to make the decision, but how do you decide when it's like, just this is not worth repairing? We just throw it in the bin, let it go, and we're done. Go get a new one.
I think we start to look at that when we. It's difficult because anything's repairable as long as you want to put the effort into it. You can fix anything in the world, but you might have one morsel of the original thing left. So we tend to leave it in the hands of the customer. You know, we're quite happy to say, look, this is what's going on with it. This is what it's going to cost to get it fixed. We will sell you something as well if that's an easier route for you, and it's going to come out at a couple of £100 cheaper, or whatever. We will happily sell you something rather than get it fixed for you. So we just tend to leave it in the hands of the customer. We're not too we're not too fussy what you pick. There are certain times in data recovery when we have to call it, because especially with sort of newer Apple products, where SSDs are soldered to motherboards, and on iPhone data recovery, where unless you can get that board to a semi-working state, at least you can't get any data off. There are moments where we have to say, look, we've taken this as far as we can go. There may be people out there that are willing to spend more time on it and more effort on it, but we charge X amount for it. We've already spent Y amount of hours on it. You may be able to get it fixed, but you probably won't. So we're very sorry, and we give them their device back. But we do everything we can feasibly to avoid getting to that point, because obviously, especially with data recoveries, that there can be really important personal information on there that people are desperate for. So.
And that's something I'm glad you brought it up, because I knew it. I forgot about it. You do data recovery services, mm-hmm. and you also sell used machines or pre-owned machines. Mm-hmm. And so those are other nice services. I mean, a lot of us here in the States, at least, are familiar with being able to go to certain websites and buy pre-owned machines or older machines. But if I had my choice, I'd much rather be able to come to someone and say, hey, what do you have? What kind of price can you give me? But more importantly, what is it that you have here that I can maybe make work, that I don't need to go out and buy a brand new machine? Mm-hmm. So those are more nice services that you provide.
Absolutely. And I think it sort of ties in quite nicely to our repair mantra as well, because say if you're bringing a device to us and we say, look, it really isn't worth you getting it fixed, we can take your old device, we can recycle it so it doesn't end up going into landfill, and we can also, if possible, take your old data and migrate it to that new device, so you're set up ready to go. And I know the Apple Store can help you with that, but they won't do it for you. Apple don't deal with data at all. So we're sort of more than happy to help you migrate it for you, so you can literally get it home, plug it in, and you are ready to go. You don't even need to, all you need to do is enter your login password, and you are ready to go. So it all links in very nicely to give the customer the best service that we can, which is ultimately what we want to do.
Folks, I can't stress it enough. I mean, if you're in the UK, you definitely need to check out iMendMacs if you have a want or a need for any of this stuff. If you're anywhere in Europe, then it's a little bit easier shipping situation. But even in the US, depending on where you are, if an Apple Store is not convenient to you, or if you have something that you want somebody that you can trust, right here are some people that can absolutely help you. Cal, I want to make sure we mention the website before we get into some other thing into you. But the website is
iMendMacs.com. So you can find us, everything we do. You can book a repair, browse all of our refurbished stock, look at our data recovery options, drop us an email, you can give us a ring. All of the information is on there. We're very good and very quick at getting back at emails. That's Joe's main job, who Chuck knows, obviously. Even if it's just a question or a quick query or a bit of buying advice, we're more than happy to help you to try and make you make the right decision.
Perfect. Now, how about you? Where can folks get in touch with you? Should it be through iMendMacs, or do you have social media presences?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at O'Hara Callum, but equally you can find us on Twitter at iMendMacs as well. Honestly, you can find us through any platform on anything. We will absolutely respond to you and do our best to help you out as best as we can.
Great. Cal, this has been fun. I'm glad we got you on here. I wanted to introduce you to our audience and let them hear about you and what you do and what iMendMacs does. We got to get you back now as part of some of the other programming. But now they know who you are, so look out.
Pleasure.
Oh, and yeah, we should also mention, obviously, that you are a pretty regular guest on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays. Both live and recorded, so check that out. And you can expect to see more of Cal here back on Mac Voices if he'll come.
Oh, I should think so. Provided we can get a decent time, but yeah.
Yeah, there's that whole time zone thing that's just annoying still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Cal. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on BTN.
Yeah, perfect. I think I'll see you tomorrow, probably.
Wouldn't be a bit surprised. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. This was a little bit different kind of interview, but I hope you got a little something out of it. I felt it was important to let you hear from someone that I know is a credible repair operation and kind of how they think and the kind of services they offer. So if you have a need, please check out iMendMacs. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.